part 8 to how I got Baker acted last night. So my mom comes to the hospital, pick me up, and, you know, I'm pissed. I'm like, I'm gonna rip into her. I'm just gonna rip into her. How dare you? How dare you do this to me? You drunk. Like, you're such a fucking drunk. You have such fucking problems. You know, now look at what you've done. Like, all that stuff. I was gonna totally do that. I get to the lobby and I see her, and immediately I can tell she doesn't remember. She doesn't remember at all what happened. And she feels horrible. And that's the thing about addicts, guys. They feel terrible. They feel guilt the next day. And that's the thing that I realized, too, is that my mom has always felt guilt, but she's just never done anything about the guilt. She just always feels it, but then she just keeps doing the same things. And that's what addicts are. Or even abusive partners, is sometimes they have the capabilities and abilities to feel guilt, but then they don't change the behaviors. They don't do anything about it. And that's the issue. That's the problem. Is somebody feeling guilty is not good enough. They have to change their behaviors for anything to have any worth or meaning to apologies or anything like that. And so I immediately went into the default mode, which is what all of us empaths do, which was to just protect her from shame and guilt. I saw that she was feeling shame and guilt. So when you see that somebody is feeling shame and guilt, it is not effective to make them feel worse or make them feel that more, because they are already feeling that. And that's the reason why you make people feel shame and guilt. Or you would be rude like that or anything like that, because you are trying to evoke that emotion, because those emotions are supposed to then change our behaviors. But that's not what's been happening. That like shame and guilt isn't working. And for anybody who's had a narcissistic parent, they know this. You know, that's what my parents did my entire life. They tried to shame me and guilt me into behaviors and force me into behaviors instead of like allowing a safe space for me to explore my emotions and also, you know, not shame or guilt me, but work together on moving through things. And so I've learned so much from this situation. So, she's like, Lauren, I'm like, so sorry. Like, I don't remember what happened at all. I don't remember anything. She's like, I'm just going through like a really stressful time right now. I feel so bad, you know? And I was like, it's okay, Mom. Like, I'm going through a stressful time too. Cause like, I obviously screamed and yelled. It didn't, you know, warrant a Baker act, but you know I contributed to it as well. So I'm not going to sit here and just be like, I immediately was like, and like the other thing too is like, I've realized is that I always had to do this with my mom. I always had to try to protect her from herself, from her own shame and guilt. Because that's what empaths do. When they see somebody's in pain, they try to take the pain away, but then oftentimes you're kind of minimizing the impact that those actions had on you, because then they're not feeling the full weight of what they should be feeling in order, again, to change the behaviors. And that's unfortunately like where my parents and everybody who's been in denial all their lives are heading now in New Earth, is they will have to face these things that they've been avoiding for decades. Which we have too. I was avoiding things for decades, but I was avoiding different things. I wasn't avoiding the same things as my parents. I wasn't avoiding treating somebody so horribly that they wanted to die. I was avoiding the fact that nobody around me deserved my love, because I was such a good, nice person that I let people take advantage of me and get me into positions that hurt me even deeper. And so I had to find my worth in taking that back, but my parents are going to have to find their worth in taking accountability. And so that's the thing. I just like realized a lot of I just unfortunately like realized like I had limerence with everybody in my life. I had to delusionally, what I call, oversaturate them. I had to add more light, make them more magical than they were, because if I didn't, I would have woken up to the truth and I would have been alone. So my level of deniability was actually making people better than they were. My parents' level of deniability was they were making people worse than they were. You know, they call me lazy and fat and stupid and all this stuff. And, you know, they're just pushing me so hard to like get a job and do all of those things. And it's been so difficult because it's like I just like need a second here. But that doesn't exist in their world. And it's like it's like this cruelness. Like, you're literally watching me die in front of your face, but then, like, you know, you're like, but too bad, you have to, like, keep going. You know, and that's, like, just what my parents did. You know, that's what I texted my sister about. They did the same thing to her. Like, they watched her die in front of their face, and they told the psychiatrist that it was my sister's fault. They told me and my sister all our lives that it was our faults for all this stuff, when it was actually theirs all along, and they were completely responsible for our behaviors. And because they're the ones that raised us, and they're the ones that trained my neural pathways, and they're the ones that taught me how to live in the world. And they did what I call it is they sowed an entire garden of dead seeds. And so me and my sister had to go into a world with dead seeds in our brain, where a lot of other people, they had parents that poured into them and, you know, sprinkled their gardens with fertilizer and gave them lots of water and sunshine through words of love and, you know, just positive reinforcement, all the things that our brains need to feel safe in this world. And me and my sister got like a really, really short end of the stick, and we had like a completely desolate, bare wasteland of a brain function. And there were so many signs, there were so many symptoms, and we were just constantly met with denial. We were constantly met with, it was your fault. We were constantly met with even more dead seeds to put into our garden. So it was just like, we had no chance. We were not going to bloom the same way. And this is what I want to say to people who have trauma. This is what's happening. You have to plant different seeds that take longer to grow than other people, because you didn't get the seeds that you needed when you should have. So that's, of course, why you're behind, you know, if you feel that way, because you didn't have the same garden. And actually, there's a girl today who commented on one of my posts and was talking about this kind of same analogy here with gardening your own self-worth. Not feeling guilty about sharing your experiences because it's your garden that you're sharing with other people. So you can't worry about other people's gardens because this is the one that you have. You can't do anything about the garden that you have. You just have it. So what are you going to do with it now? You know? And so like that's what I've been doing is I've been planting my garden with seeds of hope, a future, new earth, all these psychic downloads, spirituality, all of these things. I've been planting these seeds for 5 years now. I started this healing journey. 6 years, maybe. 6 years now. I've been on this healing journey for 10 years, actually. But my spiritual awakening happened 6 years ago. Confirmation burp. And that's how I know it's going to take a long time. That's how I know, because that's how long it took for me. It takes a long time to grieve, because that's what you do when you're healing. You just are grieving the life that you wanted, the life that you don't have, the neural pathways that you have, the ways that people, you know, there's so much to it. There's so much to the grief of life, of this life that we were sold and manipulated and coerced into. And it's a deep sense of profound grief. And the reason why it takes so long is because that's part of being a human, is this expansion of emotions over linear time, especially feeling deep, difficult ones right now, because we're in a very special period here on Earth, which is ascension. And one of the questions they asked me last night was, do I hear voices? And I was like, obviously I said no, but I was like, I wish I could just tell them that, yeah, I do. I channel with God, and he's actually literally healed my fucking brain, bro. Actually, he's shown me how to get all these people out of this fucking place that you guys, like, love so, like, you know, like, all these fucking patients and shit. Well, some of them. I don't know if I can help all of them. I can definitely help people, you know, like me. And so, yeah, I'm gonna go into another part here.